Hi everybody, here's our first video because I have run out of ways to teach you fractions with online things. So I'm going to try to explain fractions to you in this couple-minute video, and I'm going to start with something that a couple emails have come in asking questions about that I think you're a little confused. I want to talk to you a little bit about mixed numbers. This is the type of fractions that were used on workbook page. I have it right here with me, 102 if you want to open your workbooks. The reason they're called mixed numbers is they have a jumbo whole number and then a fraction. And do you remember what we call these things? The top number is the numerator. And the one that's down, 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 low, try to say it out loud, right, denominator. I'm just going to say denom. So a mixed number has a star of the show, and then a fraction right next to it. For instance, like 2.5. Now, that's not that tricky. If you think about like a whole pizza, you ate a whole pizza when you were hungry. You ate a second whole pizza, and then you ate like half of another one. So you see, this is a whole one, another whole one. I think that Math Antics video I sent you, that guy named Rob, I think. 2 whole ones and a half of another. He was trying to describe, but he goes really fast, that in pizzas, this would be 2.5. Or let's take like a drinking glass. And if I said you came in and you were so thirsty, you drank 3 whole glasses of water and then maybe a little bit more of one. So we could say you were so thirsty, you drank 3, and let's just pretend that was like 1/3. That's 3 1/3 cups of water you drank. So it's a mixed number. You've got the star of the show and then a fraction. You did page 102. It looked like this. And I asked you to do the first few. You can see the answers if you're zooming in. I asked you to do the first few just from the pictures. Hopefully you got that. Then I allowed you to skip these. This is confusing even if we were all together. And then I asked you to do this section. This one just showed you, remember how we used to do our spit guards? How you would write it out in English, like 2 and 5/6. 2 was the first star of the show. I'm looking at number 8, by the way. 2 and 5/6. The first number they list is the star of the show. The one right below that, it says 7 and 2/3. So 7's the star of the show, and the 2/3 is the fraction. Remember, you can go diagonal or side to side. So those are mixed numbers. The reason they're called that is because they've got a combination of whole numbers. Remember, whole pizzas, whole glasses of water, and they've got and they're combined with a fraction. I'd like to show you how you can compare which mixed number is bigger or smaller. This is going to come in the next page or two. When you compare mixed numbers, the easiest ones are going to look like this. Let's say 2.5, and you want to compare it. I'm going to put a box here, and you want to compare it to 3.5. Okay, this is where I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but this is where we're going to use those symbols where the mouth opens up for the bigger side, like this one if it's bigger, or this one, or sometimes we say it's equals. Remember these? So if I asked you to compare these, what you want to do first is look at that main star of the show. I'm comparing a 2 to a 3. You don't even have to look at the fractions. Now, if you can't get this one right, guys, we got to back way up. 3 is bigger. So if I asked you to compare them, you're going to gobble up or open the mouth. Sharp teeth, right? You're going to open your mouth, open the alligator to gobble up the 3 because the 3 is bigger. You don't even have to look at the fractions. Even if the fraction was like this is what's tricked some fourth graders. Look at this carefully. What if I had 2 and 9/10? Some fourth graders will say, whoa, 9/10, that looks bigger than a half. I'm going to pick this mixed number is bigger. But you just got tricked, because all that matters is the star of the show. You're going to pick 3. You should pick 3.5 because 3 is bigger than 2. Always look at the main event, the main star. They're only going to give you a few like that in this book. What they're going to do is they're going to have your stars tie. Once you have a tie, then you have to look at the fraction. But that's for another day. All right, say this out loud in your little workspace. Which one would you say is bigger here? What if I had 4 4/5 and I wanted to compare it to 2, wait for it, and 99/100? Which one is bigger? I'm going to switch colors here. Remember, oh, this is lousy. You just compare the main star. Which way are you going to open the greater than less than sign? Who picks this side? I hope you picked this side. All right. After comparing mixed numbers, I want to show you a crazy thing that some people do. Let's take 6 3/4. Okay, I'm just making it up. I'm making up the star of the show, and I'm making up my fraction. Okay, and I just picked 6 3/4. Okay, some people along the way don't like having big whole numbers sitting right next to fractions. I don't know why, but they change it into just a fraction. Let me show you what this would be as a fraction. 24. As a fraction, if I didn't like this big next to fraction, I would turn it into 27/4. Now, wait a minute. I'm going to show you how I got that. But first, before I show you that, let's take a look at 27/4. Does this marker work? Yeah, check this out. 27, that's a pretty big number. So I'm going to draw a pretty big circle. 4, not so big. So I'm going to draw a circle that's not so big. Now, if I put my big number and I try to balance this big snowball on a little one, and I try to build an upside down snowman, I don't think that's going to stand up very well. It's going to be really top heavy and wobbly. I think a snowman built upside down is going to fall over any second. Did you see on the website, Rachel built a snowman. She put her big snowball on the bottom like most people do, and then the smaller one, and then the smaller one. That's the normal way. This is no good. In fact, somebody would say this is not the right way to do it. Guess what they're called? If it's not correct, if it's not right, it's improper. So when we have a big number on top of a small number, we call those improper fractions. We're not big fans of them, yet we do need them in math. I'm going to repeat that. We don't really like them this way, but sometimes we have to have them that way. But that's just not right to have that big number on top. So that's how it got its name, improper. It's not proper, it's not so good, but sometimes we have to have them. Improper fractions. So part 2 of this lesson is telling you how to make an improper. It's not a proper fraction, but we still need them once in a while. I'm going to show you how to make an improper fraction from something that looks like this. Test yourself. Do you remember what this is called? Big whole numbers and a fraction, kind of a mixture of two different kinds of numbers, mixed numbers, okay? So what I'm gonna do is upload this worksheet to Google Classroom. And everybody who can should ask somebody at home to see if they can print that from Google Classroom. This worksheet is going to help you turn mixed numbers into improper fractions. And when you get your worksheet, maybe you can print, maybe somebody at home will print more than one for you. It has a box for a big whole number, and then it's got two smaller boxes for the, say this out loud, it starts with the sound num, and it's got a small box for your, say this out loud, down, denominator. That's going to be on your worksheet. So let's start with, let's take 7.5. 7 is the big whole number. It's the star of the show, and half is the fraction. So when you get your worksheet printed, look at this arrow here with a time sign. What they want you to do is they want you to take this number times that number. So aren't we thinking of the number 14? I hope so. 7 times 2 is 14. So if I was to fill in my worksheet, I would do this. 2 times 7, I'm going to put that number right over here in my thinking bubble. Do you see that? 2 times 7 is 14. That's in my thinking bubble. Now look at this. Now they changed the operation. Now they just want me to add my numerator. So 14 plus 1 more, 14 plus 1 is 15. Now you say to yourself, well, all right, so 15 is my new numerator. Well, what about my little denominator? For denominators, they don't change. Just send him back down and keep him as a permanent denominator. You just never change the denominator. If your denominator was 2 over here, it's 2 over here. If it was 3 over here, it'll stay 3 over here. If it was 117 over here, it'll be 117 over there. Denominator won't change. So this worksheet is going to help you you start with your mixed number, and it'll tell you to multiply and then add. So if I was to fill out this worksheet, my answer would be 15 over 2. How would you say that as a fraction? If you say 15 tooths, I'm going to make a face, not 15 tooths. That would just be 15 halves. Sounds weird. It is weird. We don't like them, but we have to have them. Improper fractions have the big number balanced on a little number. It's not great, but we still need to have them. So you can print a lot of these worksheets because I'm going to be asking you to change mixed numbers to improper fractions over and over and over. Let's try some before the video ends. Not such a great eraser, huh? It's like at school with the red markers that don't erase. I miss this school. Me. All right. Shout out a mixed number. What? 3 1/3? I heard you. We're going to see if we can change that to an improper fraction. Shout out another mixed number. 4? 4 and what? Oh, 4 3/5. I heard you. We're going to change that mixed number into an improper fraction. And give me one more. A little louder. 3 and... Let's go 3 1/4. And we're going to change these mixed numbers into improper fractions. Okay? So, if I had my worksheet it would tell me to put my mixed number in the boxes. 3, 1 is the numerator, 3 is the denominator. My worksheet says start at the bottom and multiply. 3 times 3 is, right, 9. This is my thinking bubble. But they didn't do the other little circles. 9. Then follow the arrow. 9 plus whatever's in here. 9 plus 1 equals 10. Denominator. What do I do to fill in that spot? Oh, right. I keep it what it was. I don't change that. 3 1/3 is the same thing as 10/3. Frankly, I like this one better with the star of the show with a fraction, but this is okay for a little while. So then I could either print another worksheet, or that's a waste of paper. I might just follow the example. Let's do this one. We're going to change this mixed number to an improper fraction. I start at the bottom. 5 times 4. 20. 20 plus the numerator. 20 plus 3 equals 23. 23 what? Oh yeah, my teacher said just keep the denominator the same. 23/5. Done. Can I do one without the worksheet? Maybe. 4 times 3. 12. 12 plus 1. Right. 13/4. These are improper fractions because the big number is balancing on the little number. Not a great idea, but you'll see why in a couple days why we need to do that. So the assignment I'm going to try to explain on the assignment chart is, I haven't decided if we're going to do this on a Google Doc or on a piece of paper, and maybe you could take a picture of it for me. But I'm going to ask you first to come up with, I was going to say 15, but maybe that's too many. If you can do 15, I would love it, but you must do at least 10. I'd like you to, I'm thinking a piece of paper. All right, so if you can get down to 15, I would love it, but 10 is the minimum. Put your problem number behind these curtains so we don't get mixed up. The first part of your assignment is going to just invent 10 mixed numbers. 2 1/2 is a mixed number. 3 1/5 is a mixed number. 10 2/3. 5 3/4. I'm just making these up. I take my favorite number is 4, and then I make a fraction that I've heard of. I take another number I haven't used. How about 8? Maybe even a really weird fraction like 2/9. And I just make up a bunch of mixed numbers. Remember, a mixed number has a whole number sitting right next to a fraction. Then what I'd like you to do with the help of your worksheet is to turn each one that you made up into one of these weirdos, impropers. Multiply and add. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. Copy the denominator. Done. Multiply and add. 5 times 3 is 15. 15 is 1. 15 plus 1 is 16. Keep the denominator the same. Done. What do you think this one's going to be? Did you think 32 thirds? That would be right. Done. Multiply and add. Okay, multiply and add. Because we're distant learning, I need you to make up your mixed numbers and then turn them into improper fractions. You're basically making your own worksheet. I'd love you to do 10, but scratch that. I need you to do 10, but I'd love you to do 15. Okay? I'm thinking I'm going to upload another video very soon about comparing fractions a little bit more than when we compared mixed numbers, but that might be for another day. I think that's enough for now. Adios, everybody.